Hey YouTubers, I just wanted to make a quick video about what I think the advantages are of having the RC-600 at the top of your pedal board instead of the bottom. And I want to show you how I did it on the Pedaltrain pedal board. This is a Pedaltrain Classic, which happens to be a perfect width fit, as you can see, for the RC-600, the Pedaltrain Classic. Comes with a gig bag as well. And I want to show you how I did this, because I think you have to make some special alterations if you want to make it work on any just slanted pedal board that doesn't have a step to it. Because I think it's important that these buttons, if you want to make this work, especially on the lower row of your RC-600, are higher, or at least at the same level as the buttons on the pedals below your unit. And the way I realized I had to make this work was that I had to make the 600 angle up. And I'll show you how I did that here. So, the most important thing for me was to get these buttons raised to the same level or higher, and you can see they're just slightly higher or at the same level as the ones below it. Very close anyway. So what I did is, if you just put your unit on and put something bigger on the second bar, but then you didn't have anything to wedge it under here, it would just come off. So I wedged in here some folded up cardboard and wrapped that with duct tape, and then put some Velcro tape around that. So I've got a continuous point of contact between the unit and the board, and it, as you can see, you can hear a little give, but it's not going anywhere. Absolutely not going anywhere. Here I needed something more solid than cardboard, because you really, this is the most important you kind of want to decide on the height you want here first, if you see what I mean, and then do that. That's what I did. I decided on how high I wanted this to be, and I was lucky that I found an old IKEA hinge that was just the right height, and I had two of them. So I've done exactly, I'm not going to show you, but I've done exactly the same thing on the other side of the board. So I've just done it twice to line up with the two horizontal bars on the pedal board. And so this is a solid piece. I wrapped that with duct tape. It's metal. I then wrapped that with Velcro. So again, I've got continuous point of contact between this and the pedal board. And that was exactly the height I wanted. As you can see, it's a slight step down to the next pedal. And for me, it works perfectly. So the two main advantages I have now are that these pedals, which just everything used to be in reverse, are just so much easier to access. And what I'm finding is that in the middle of a song, I don't need to access the 600 as much as I do my pedals for tone. So for example, when I used to access this, when it was up here, I'd have to reach over the unit, and sometimes I would brush up against these buttons when I did it. And if you forget to lock the song that you're on, that could be disastrous, because it could change the memory, things like that. So that's the one major advantage is pedal button access. I'm finding a heck of a lot easier. Also, what I tend to do is dedicate a track to rhythm and then maybe a track to bass. And once I've laid those down and reached over and recorded them and started playing them, I tend to leave them alone. Although I might stop them to, say, create space in a bridge or something. I might stop a loop. I might add an effect to a loop. So these two buttons here this is how I've kind of got around having to control the unit while it's in the middle of a song. I assign these to track functions, say maybe just stop and play track 2, stop and play track 3, or add an effect to track 1. Or this is I've set up as a track effect, which is quite easy to reach over and hit that one. So these, for me anyway, these buttons are really easy to access while I'm playing. These are a little trickier, but I tend to just do them once at the beginning and let them be. And then these two down here, as I say, I use to control while I go along. This one I've got set up to control the DD200 settings, which cycles through, and that's a great little skinny little twins. That's a great little unit that controls that. Okay, so that's I'm saying there's two great advantages to having your unit up here. One is pedal button access is a lot easier. The other one is access to all of this, right? So before, when I had the unit down here, when I went live, I had a little gap between these two pedals, which were at the top, and I had to put a straight angle jack into instrument input. I ended up having to use instrument input 2, I think it was, because that's where it lined up, which doesn't matter really if it's 1 or 2, but now I've just got complete access to everything. These stay in all the time, and I used to have an extension lead for the USB connector there. I had a right angle little extension lead for the USB so that I had a female port to access for that. Now I don't need that. So this is a huge advantage, having access to all of this, easy access to all of this at the back, and especially if you're going for a complicated setup where you want to route different things to PA or mixing boards and what have you. Also, if you're MIDI in and MIDI out, a lot easier to access. So that's it really. Pedal button access and access to the back of the board, I think, are huge. Also, one last thing, when you raise the unit like I did, I'm hoping you can see here that there's a gap between the bar and the unit, right, which I can get my finger under here. It's like that much space. So all my power cables, I got more room to route things very neatly. And I could tuck this, for example, which has its power bars at the top. I could push it right up to the top. So all of these pedals, I could get right up to the unit if I needed to. And underneath, plenty of room and space for tidy cabling, which I've had no problem with. And I've had no problem with getting all this to fit in the pedal bag, in the pedal board bag, even though these are protrude a little bit, it still fits. And there you go. Any questions about how I set it up or what I think the advantages are to it, let me know. Take care, y'all.